back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here in his casual garden level studio at his home. And we're going to run down to the Michigan Manufacturers Association. John Walsh, who is John is the CEO of MMA. And John Walsh, it's good to see you. How you doing?
Doing great, and great to see you as well.
Good, thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, let's start off reminding people what the MMA is and what it does. And let me preamble that. Everybody should know that, except I remember seeing a study once of Pepsi-Cola who suspended their advertising in Atlanta, and that's where they have plants and all kinds of posh, and they wound up losing market share almost immediately. So
Wow.
it's always a good idea to remind, you know?
So thank you for that. And you're right. I mean, even with our members, sometimes we have to remind them the totality of what we offer. The MMA was founded 120 years ago, and we represent all manufacturers. So from the smallest, 20 folks in a tool and die, right up to the largest and iconic corporations like Ford and GM, Magna, and others. And we're across the entire state of Michigan. So it's up in the UP near Houghton. It's down in Niles on the south side, east and west. And our members are in every type of manufacturing: food, automotive, furniture, and so on. Our primary goal is to work on advocacy with the state legislature and the administration, but we also provide services for our members, particularly the smaller ones, to get insurance, other things of that nature. And we're hyper-focused, and have been now for a number of years, and will continue to be, on workforce solutions. That's a big, big challenge for our members, and we're really focused on providing those solutions.
That is huge, and that's one of the places we wanted to go. So let's talk about that, because there's two big challenges right now for business, and they're kind of neck and neck. One is inflation, and in particular, wage inflation. And of course, the other is just getting people so you can guard against wage inflation, right?
Right.
Getting people and retaining them. Your membership has to be suffering from that a little.
They really are, just like any industry. But of course, we're hyper-focused on manufacturing, and they really are struggling. I'll tell you, the good news is when I talk to members, small and large, they are starting to see more responses to postings. So just a year ago, they might have had 1 or 2 responses per posting. Now we're getting to 5, 6, 7. That's a really good, that's a good trend. We want that to continue, to have more people interested. And then with the support on a bipartisan basis from the legislature and from the governor, we've been able to continue to get more and more money in programs like Going Pro, which allows existing employees to skill up and to move into their next job. It's huge. Having a well-trained workforce is absolutely wonderful. And it's the promise of that continued investment that helps keep our manufacturers hopeful. It's a little tight now. We're seeing it getting better, but we are looking at a massive investment from the state to make sure we have well-trained employees in the future.
Well, and that's how we're going to be able to compete. You know, a lot of people don't realize what portion of your membership is actually maybe small business, because they always think Michigan manufacturers, oh, yeah, that's GM, that's Ford, that's, but you have a pretty good membership that's in the small business category.
We do. So more than, I can't remember the exact number, but it's around 65% are 100 employees and less. So we really do have a lot of small manufacturers. We have just under 2,000 members altogether. And so we go from, again, the largest to the smallest. But the backbone of any state really is the small businesses. We're thankful for the large corporations, but it's the mom and pop shop, Main Street, making the widgets that go into the larger products that really are the backbone of our manufacturing industry.
So, John, around this time last year, you announced Workforce Solutions. Remind everybody what the purpose of that is, and how's that program going?
It's going along nicely. So it was a year ago that we hired Bill Rail, who came in, and we have always been successful at working on programs and funding, that would go through a community college or a training facility. But we didn't have anybody on staff to really help our employers. And what we do now with Bill, at its simplest, people can call Bill and say, I am in Ionia. I need 2 people. I can't get my local community college to pay attention to two. Bill's job is to work in a collaborative effort to find out how many workers are needed in that area, create a collaborative. And then it's more cost effective for the employers. It's easier for the employees to get trained locally, and it's of more interest. It's easier to accomplish for a community college or a training facility. So that's one thing. The other is to work with our state and federal partners to coordinate benefits. There are awesome programs. I mentioned Going Pro and Reconnect, but there's other funding and sources and training available from the federal and state government or from community colleges or even our regional level that a small shop just can't keep up with it. His job is to make sure it's in front of them, going to where we started. How do we keep telling them over and over again where to find those resources? And we're having a lot of success with that. Just a year in, we're doing really well.
Yeah, Michigan Works is always a good place to start too.
Absolutely.
They manipulate a lot of that funding to the right spots. John, you do a marvelous job there. Next time on, we're going to talk about inflation. We're going to talk about is supply chain loosening up. We're going to talk about interest rates, all that stuff. So you're not off the hook. You have to.
Thank you so much, Chris. I always appreciate being on.
Always good to have you on. It is. John Walsh, the president and CEO of the Michigan Manufacturers Association. And you've been watching this on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman.